Do it live on a Football Friday edition of the program. Merely Bo, the great Z. There's a certain excellence in the room, kids.
Feast your eyes. Oh, baby.
What a job.
Some would call it
the BM PPE.
Yes. The creme de la creme.
On us.
The creme de la creme.
I just feel great in this thing.
I feel like there's nothing that I'm incapable of accomplishing when I wear this hoodie. And by the way, yes, I did, in case you're wondering, peacock around a little bit.
I was curious what the reaction in the building was. I came in really hot today, and we've got construction, so I wasn't able to get like my normal
A lot of
people.
I heard a lot of people. How do I get one of those?
Sorry.
You don't. Sweet Allison was like, I got to have one. And I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you.
It's an unbelievable.
There's a luminary,
one of the.
No, like as big as it would get that would be here on a regular basis.
Yep.
Said that we're just catching dubs in these things.
Yep.
And he didn't come out and say it, but it felt like he'd like one.
I bet. I think it's something that a lot of people are going to want once these are seen. So we went through this with the exquisite Brad Mellon yesterday when he was here in
What
studio
a legend. By the way, he called me last night.
Okay.
Said I had the best time. I really enjoyed it. Said, well, you have an open
Well,
invitation.
come on anytime. Like, he could hand out the BMPPE.
And he's like, so, making gum? That could have stuck to my hand.
Gone
could
so
gone
many ways.
different ways.
So many ways.
And I was like, you have an open invitation. Come whenever. He goes, it was really cool. We were just like talking like we were hanging out. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a show.
That's what we do.
That's what the show is.
That's right.
That's what we do.
And we love hanging out and talking with Brad Mellon.
Yeah. So he was in yesterday. You know the backstory on the hoodies and all of that. You and I'm trying to remember when we dreamt up the cream. I remember the conversation about it, and I remember talking to because there's been a lot behind the scenes. Like there was even an homage correspondence that took place.
Yeah.
And they ended up with the cream starters, which we have.
Yep.
And we at some point decided we're going to be the kings of cream.
That's right.
And then, I remember that conversation. How did we get to where cream was the correct?
So there was the black.
Right.
Then there was an orange.
Orange, yeah.
Then there was a gray, which we were never into.
Right. I wasn't huge into the orange. I liked the black.
No, we were not. We wanted the black.
Yep.
And then we said, well, what about a white?
Yeah, that's right.
And then the white showed itself up in Atlanta. Yep. The white was distributed in the
white will never be looked at the same.
In the most egregiously offensive way possible.
Yep.
And then we said, cream, baby.
Cream. We wouldn't even say it out loud on the show.
We wouldn't even say the word cream.
For fear of it being, and then just so that you people understand, like we back-channeled through various different alternative routes of achieving this.
And in fact, it ultimately, like, we would reference things like the Wu-Tang Clan's theory about, what rules things, and the students of the show, those who get it, who pay attention to the scores, they knew what we were talking about. But it turns out that we have a hoodie that might be made with like golden fibers.
I don't even know. I've never seen anything like it.
Given the tag that came with it,
the tag that was with it was I didn't even know that was possible unless it was like with like Gucci. Like that, that type of
and it came with its own like bag. What does it say? No stitch on
something
accounted for or something.
Yeah,
incredible. Or every stitch
accounted for. I think is
something
what it says. There's some sort of a pulley system
in
the back
that
I don't know.
keeps it.
I guess it keeps
nice.
it down so you could reach and
it's light but warm.
Light but warm.
Yeah,
because it's not like the Dorse.
No,
remember those things?
Oh,
God Almighty, we
would be cooking. Yeah,
cooked our innards.
Exactly.
So doing the show in that.
So then we said how about the cream? And it turns out, give a little behind the scenes for people, that these had to be sourced. This is why Brad Mellon is who he is.
So that's BMPPE.
Not only is he the equipment manager of the year in the NFL, but when you have a title as prestigious as that, equipment managers from other sports want to be in your Rolodex.
That's right.
And we were told that this cream was only to be found in the association. And it would lead one to believe that Giannis probably walks around in a hoodie made of this same material.
I bet on the reg.
But not with this.
Not with this.
Can't. He could come here and ask me today.
And also,
I'd say,
I'm pretty sure that the cream cities, which you have the lovely hoodie of,
I do.
The cream cities are gone because they were in terms of the advertising on the courts in the NBA, they would blow those out.
Yeah, it was like
so
1 year.
You can't wear the cream anymore. Like you won't see NBA teams in cream anymore. So these are legitimately like one of 4.
That's right.
Is where we are. So it came to fruition.
Gibbe's not even wearing it.
It was done so.
What is the deal?
I don't know. It was done so. Gibbe did everything in his power to roadblock this.
Yeah, that's what we were told.
To keep
yesterday.
our joy down.
Yeah.
To minimize our joy. To make it almost impossible for us to get it. He's done
He's
everything
like
in his
Toby
power.
in The Office, a thief of joy.
He is a thief of joy to disable us
Yeah.
as opposed to enabling us. He has tried to disable us in every possible way, and yet still it's done.
Brad told us a story that I found to be hard to believe, but also at the same time not hard to believe. While we were led down a primrose path that poor Gibbe was battling issues and was out sick, I'm told he was trying to intercept the package. He was dealing with FedEx. He was then trying to go. Yes, trying to intercept the package before it could get to Brad. And then apparently payments were offered to Brad Mellon to burn these.
Oh, my God.
To burn them on video and have to make us watch that.
It just hurts.
Why?
More than anything else.
Notice he's not wearing it. Like, that is what a tell.
I look forward to the entire last 2 minutes of this conversation and a retraction at about 3:05, please.
How could there be?
What do you mean?
How could there be a
no
restriction?
point have I
Are you
tried to
gonna-
roadblock it.
Are you
I just
going
didn't
to
believe it was gonna
questioning
happen.
the integrity of Brad Mellon?
The BMPPE.
Is that what you're doing right now?
No, Brad and I have our own conversations. It's all
I
good.
know. He told us.
Well,
Said that you were flat out against it and wanted to see us suffer.
and
that
the
is
whole
a flat out
operation
lie,
fail.
because I didn't even know you were working
Yep.
with Brad.
The word fail is what I heard. Yeah, I want it to be a failure.
We should one other
Of course you didn't. You couldn't be
key
trusted.
component of this is the great Podes.
Podes. Shout out
So
Podes.
Podes, Podolak, unbelievable. Mark Podolak, unbelievable. It's his original design,
It's perfect.
and it's perfect. Perfect.
I mean, he even created 2 for us to choose from, and we went with this, and it was a consensus that we
This is
made
the right choice.
A radio show. Yeah.
It's the right choice, I think, for sure. There is the matter of there is one outstanding unclaimed.
Yes.
Now, this could be something that we bestow.
Could be.
Could be something that's bestowed. It's in our we have it.
We have
in
here
our
are the
hands.
options. Here are the options.
We bestow.
Bestow.
We could do charity,
We could do a fundraiser with it.
fundraiser
Sure.
with it.
Yep.
Loyal listeners, one loyal listener lottery,
Or-
Ned, Bobby, therapy,
Or perhaps there's an essay writing contest.
an essay writing contest. Well, then I would have to read the essays.
I'll read them.
I don't want to read them.
It's outside of the times of 1P to 3P.
No, we'll read them on air.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be an
riveting.
off-season segment.
That'll be great.
Maybe an essay contest.
Maybe you have a
maybe an
paragraph.
essay contest exposing our greatness that we could read.
Sure.
Whoever can put it in the best context.
Or why do you love? You get 3 sentences,
Yeah.
grammatically correct. Why do you love CBD, and why do you deserve this hoodie?
More so, why do you love us?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. That
By
I
the
could
way,
do.
any mention of praise for this guy, out.
Out.
Not a chance.
No hoodies.
Nope.
No hoodies. So that's something we'll have to sort out.
Or it's a pretty good trade piece.
Well, that's the other part.
Which and by the way, guess who was already hitting me up last night talking trade?
Already.
Melland.
Wow.
You're darn right he was.
Yeah. Yep. I like it. I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, because I think the one thing that we have to say unequivocally we need to do with it is something that benefits you and I.
Yeah.
And less extent others. Mr. Zagura.
Why don't we trade it to a company that has RVs and we go down to the Bourbon Trail and play golf?
Oh, my God. RV golf bourbon trip?
That's right.
It's interesting.
What do you think about that,
You've
Gibbon?
kind of hit that twice.
I've driven an RV.
He's ready. He's
for like 12 days. You
Oh,
want
we
to
know
go?
you're the driver.
Let's go, buddy.
Yeah,
I'll
of
drive
course
a
you're the
30-footer.
driver. Yeah. Of course you're the driver. We'll be
In the
swinging
back
in
on an
hammocks. Yeah, playing some men.
It's interesting. You've dropped that RV twice this week out of nowhere, out of the clear
is
blue
weird.
sky almost. How it's
Yeah.
just paratrooped into the show.
It feels like it was an idea that was like down south that has made its way
moved
north.
its way north.
And
so-
ironically, yet we want to take it back south.
Yeah, we would.
Listen to this.
Is that where we would do it? Would we do that?
Listen to the pandering that's happening right now.
Give it to
got
me.
a text.
Give it to me.
Or one for the official Nana of CBD.
Oh, Nana.
Nana.
We love you.
We do love you.
We love you so much.
Dearly.
So much.
So much.
For sure.
Let's just focus on that.
Yeah, let's just try and stay positive here today.
Yeah, let's focus on it. You can't be trusted. You could be stuck in the mud, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, mud's all over it.
Oh, how did that go when I told you my solution? What did they think of that?
Ignored. And as of now, Nana was on the hook for a third of it. By the way, Drew,
that's how you do it.
Drew Davidson has just submitted to us that he is working on his case for the unclaimed, and it has to do with on-air lights for us.
Well, now we're talking. That's
we're
something
talking.
that would benefit our lives.
Benefit our lives and the show, and show that he's a member of the show.
Yeah.
And Drew's a great human.
All of a sudden, Drew found on-air lights.
Well,
5 months after the fact.
Not all of a sudden, but
5 months, 5 years.
I was going to say 5 years. What do you mean?
Like the whole time.
Hold on. I really need to know this. This is bothering me. It's eating at me.
Okay.
Gibbe, why are you not wearing your hoodie?
Today was the day. Today's the day.
Okay, I missed the memo. Number one.
Connor,
Number
did
two,
I not give him the memo verbally 5 different times in the last 2
yeah,
hours?
he walked in and handed me a sweatshirt. Like,
and said,
I'm
wear
just
this
trying
today.
I'm trying to get my sea legs back currently. Like, it's been a rough few days
It's
here,
amazing
people.
that you always try to like come at people for having excuses, and yet you have a vast repertoire. We didn't ask you to go run a marathon. We weren't asking about your legs. We were asking about you to put a hoodie on.
Yeah.
You're wearing a hoodie. We say, take that hoodie off, put this hoodie on.
That's it. Well, it's been wonderful. It's a win for everybody.
In terms of the acquisition of one piece of clothing, the only time that I would say I ever felt similar joy and elation to what I feel right now is when I acquired the Macho Man's robe that he wore as the WWF champion in London, England against Hulk Hogan. That's it.
That's it. That's the list.
That's the list.
I would say 7th grade Christmas Jordan 4s or 6th grade Christmas Jordan 4s. That was a big moment.
Yeah.
Where I didn't know if that was going to happen.
First
so it's
time
on that level.
First time for me that I asked for some Converse as a young man because, of course, they were worn by Lerone Bird and
That's right.
Magic Irvin
That's
Johnson.
Right.
And my dad bought me the Payless Shoe
Oh,
Source
no.
knockoffs that looked like them.
Sure they did. Who could tell the difference? I could. Dad.
I did.
I did. I had the Laker weapons.
Ugh,
Yeah.
good for you.
I think I stretched like 3 years out of them.
Good for you.
That's probably where we're at. Oh, that's good.
Nana's taking it well. That's good.
Championship weekend is upon us. I was thinking about this. Yes, Mr. Zagura.
We actually have to break. I hate to.
Oh, why?
No, hold
We
on.
have a guest at 1:15.
Well,
Oh, for God's
But
sake.
quickly, we have a submission.
Okay.
Guys, not only did we provide interim air CBD, which is the on-air light, I personally composed theme music and songs for the
Oh
show,
my
but Gatekeeper
gosh,
Gibbe
Jade.
has kept them from the people. Ready to essay at Nathan Zagura, at Bo Bishop, #unclaimed.
I would say that
Jade
from a giving standpoint, Jade and Brown's therapy have given the most. Therapy has been on it too. I mean, those would be the two that I would say. Jay brings up a fantastic point.
Yeah.
On-air light, music, much like us, Gibby trying to hold her back.
Why is he gatekeeped her music? I don't
Same reason
understand.
he gatekeeps us.
Why won't he wear this hoodie? By the way, here's who's not getting the hoodie. Greg Boggs 8. WTF is this? Hoodie radio? Enough already. It's nauseating.
Sad, Greg.
And then he says this, which makes it hard to believe that he could write these two sentences in the same tweet.
Yeah.
I listen every day while working. If you listen every day,
You know this
should
is the
be
show.
feeling feeling
Bathing
the
in the
joy,
joy of it all,
bathing in the
Greg.
glory of it, Greg.
Oh, come
It's
on.
Friday. Live a little.
Live, Greg.
Gosh.
By the way, Succession. Speaking of Greg, Succession season 4 trailer dropped yesterday.
Oh,
Looked
baby.
good. Looked good.
That's right.
All right, we're up again. We got guests. We're going to preview it. Bengals, Chiefs preview coming up. James Rapien going to join us coming up next. We're off and running on a Friday edition. Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. You're on the injured list. Get you help back in the game. 1-800-ELK Ohio is a free case review. Elk & Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Let's head out on the Twisted Tea hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. He is the host of the Locked On Bengals podcast. He is James Rapien. He joins us on the road, the Sports Illustrated Bengals beat writer. James, thanks for taking the time, pals. You head to Kansas City. I guess let's start here. As you cover this Bengals team on a day-in, day-out basis, certainly we were all aware of the talent, but it feels like they have become really the best team in the NFL over the last couple of months. At what point did it crystallize for you what this team was going to be capable of?
Well, going into the year, you certainly liked their chances of being better than they were a year ago. Part of that had to do with them just kind of being ahead of schedule. A year ago we were headed to Kansas City to cover them, and not many people, including myself, expected them to be there. This year, it's like, okay, well, if Burrow takes another step and the offensive line is better and Zach Taylor's better and all of those things have happened, really. And even though the offensive line has suffered some injuries, this Bengals team is playing as well as they've played during this 2-year run. As far as when I thought during the season that they were capable of this, I don't know if there was an exact moment, but I'll tell you this. When we left Cleveland on that Tuesday morning after that Monday night game, and they fell to 4-4, it was like, well, what is this team? And they haven't lost since. So at some point during this stretch, if I had to name an exact point, maybe beating the Chiefs for a third straight time in Week 13. And the other part would be just surviving not having Jamar Chase. I don't think they could have done that last year. So they've done a lot of things that they haven't done or that they didn't do last year during that run.
What's kind of been the take right now in Cincinnati? And we're going to get to a lot of good things. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing per se. Just kind of Eli Apple's social media activity and the fact that a Bengals team that everybody kind of loved all of a sudden is kind of the heels, it feels like, headed into this matchup with the Chiefs.
It's something Eli's done since he got here. And I remember last year thinking the same thing. Like, well, what is he doing on Twitter? And clearly he uses that to fire himself up. And clearly the Bengals don't have a huge issue with it. Now, I don't think they love it, right? He's the only guy in that locker room that tweets like that. But if he plays well on Sunday, I think they'll take it. So it's not a huge topic of discussion, but I know guys are certainly aware of it.
Well, the other thing is he kind of represents, in a way, because he's a scrap heap guy, right? Like his NFL career is left for dead. It's been resurrected there. He's not the only one. They've done the defense. We talk so much about their offense and Burrow, and we'll get to all that, but it's really their defense that's been stabilizing, and they've put a bunch of guys together who play well as a unit. Lou Anarumo should get a ton of credit, I would think, for what he's done with that defense, because that offensively they're going to be there, but it's really the defense that's been the difference maker, hasn't it?
No doubt, and the word stabilize is a good way to put it, because early on this season, when the Bengals were dealing with some issues on offense, the offensive line was working through some things. Burrow was still coming back from that appendix surgery, which he lost a bunch of weight, and even though he started week 1, it doesn't look like he does now. Like he was clearly light and not as healthy as he is now. So this defense has come up big, and honestly, I think it is as big of a reason as any as to why they are arguably the best team in the AFC, but why they've won 10 straight, because this defense has made big plays on the road, forcing a turnover in New England late in the game. Obviously, we saw Sam Hubbard's play a few weeks ago against the Ravens. They just find a way, and we'll see if they can do it again this Sunday.
So when their last loss, which was against the Browns on Monday Night Football here, and that was the game that they also lost Chidobe Awuzie for the year. In that game, Cam Taylor-Britt came in, and then I can't forget Trey Flowers, I want to say. Trey Flowers came in, and the Browns just abused the two of them, one-on-one, especially Amari Cooper in that game. Who has really stepped up and kind of solidified that second outside corner position for them, because that's not happening. I mean, you go against Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, not happening. They've been very good on the outside. So who's really kind of stepped up for them in that role as that number 2 corner, and obviously leaving Mike Hilton, one of the best slot blitzers in the league, on the inside?
Yeah, Eli Apple obviously slides into that one role.
Yep.
I don't think anyone would look at him as a top corner, but he's played pretty well and been consistent outside of getting beat by a double move against Baltimore. And then it's Cam Taylor-Britt,
Yep.
and he was forced into action, and they really liked him in the draft. They traded up for him in the second round in April, and he's come on strong. Had an interception last week. Had a really nice play on Gabe Davis, play on the ball, on a really key play for the Bills' offense. So, yeah, I think he's solid, but if you were to pick out a weakness on this defense, it probably would be their outside corners. And so we'll see if the Chiefs can exploit that. Obviously, the Bills wanted to, and they weren't able to exploit it the way they had hoped.
Well, we've put it off long enough. I mean, this is really Burrow is the operation here, isn't it? He's a one-man comet, truly. Just incredible what he's done for the organization, what he's meant. It's interesting the belief that everybody has in him. It's justified clearly, but he really. How does he? Let me ask you this, James, as someone who's around him all the time. How does he balance saying things that I think coming out of others' mouth would sound cocky or arrogant, and yet out of his aren't?
Yeah.
How does he pull that off?
Man, I don't know, because I couldn't say half the crap he says, right, one way or the other. Like the way he pulls it off, I think it's pretty simple. And if you asked him, he would say the same thing. He's just himself all the time, and he'll say what's on his mind. And sometimes that does mean that the cocky or borderline cocky, confident stuff that we've seen, and in other times it's just a general answer. You never really know what you're going to get, but it's just who he is, and so I think it's just he's himself every single day, and that's the one consistent thing.
The weapons aren't bad either. Jamar
No.
Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. They're really running it effectively with Joe Mixon. We saw that last week. Hurst making some big catches. They get him on the fake screen, the touchdown kind of wheel route to Hayden Hurst there. How has this group, been okay with kind of it's up and down, right, in terms of who gets the ball certain games? T. Higgins, I'm pretty sure for the 4 games that Chase was out, was amongst the league leaders in receiving yards for that 4-week period. And then obviously Chase comes back. His numbers are different this year, but it can be a Boyd game. It can be a Chase game. It can be a Higgins game. And they all seem to be okay with that, knowing that Joe's going to put the ball where it should go based on the coverage.
Yeah, I think that they're so unselfish, and that's rare. I mean, T. Higgins just turned 24. Jamar's 22. They're both going to get huge contracts, and you'd want the ball when you're this ascending talent. And by the way, Tyler Boyd goes under the radar, had 1 catch last week. He's a guy that, you would expect, hey, I'm the veteran in the room. Give me more targets. And you don't hear it from any of these guys. Hayden Hurst as well. There's been some Hayden Hurst games where he's had 6, 7 catches.
Yep.
Last week, you're right, he had, some big plays. Obviously, the touchdown stands out the most. These guys are just really unselfish. And they're, Joe Mixon is another example. They haven't ran the ball great this year, but he's kept a really good attitude, and last week it got rewarded. He averaged over 5 yards a carry. The offensive line was able to get some real push, and he had some success. But none of these guys have complained, and I think that's really, really rare. And I think it starts with Joe, because Joe isn't going to throw the ball or to a guy just because that guy complains. So I don't think anyone complains. Everyone knows that he's going to make the decision that he thinks is best. And if you do that and you're consistent with it, well, then you can live with it, because more times than not, Joe's going to be right.
Yeah, and you just be ready, because it could be the big moment is the one where the ball does go your way. Let's talk about that line, because that was one of the things that people were really concerned about, right? And now you're going against a Chiefs team that doesn't have a lot of household names, but Chris Jones is very good, Frank Clark up front. What's the state of that line in terms of, who's going to be out there? And then what did you think of their performance last week against the Bills?
Yeah, they're going to be without Alex Kappa and Jonah Williams again this week. And so 3 starters down. Lyle Collins out for the season.
Yep.
Kappa and Williams, I think they'd have a shot if they advance to play in Super Bowl 57. So that means it's going to be Jackson Carman at left tackle, Cordell Volson and Ted Karras at left guard and center. And both of those guys have started every game this year. And then a right guard, you'll see Max Sharping for a 3rd straight start, and Akeem Adeniji at right tackle. They played great last week. And I was shocked. I didn't think they'd be able to get that push on the ground which made life much, much easier for Burrow, and he's not used to that, and so they got out to a lead. He had time, was only sacked once. I don't think that's going to be the case this week. I think they're going to be tested much more. But if you can contain Chris Jones, I think you have a good shot to move the ball up and down the field against the Chiefs.
James, I talked to people from the Cincinnati side of it, people from the Kansas City side of it, and it's interesting no matter what side, most people feel like that Cincinnati's the better team and the expectation is to go down to Kansas City and win. And they've won. This would be their fourth consecutive. In all three of those games, Kansas City had a lead, sometimes big leads. They always had a lead going into the fourth. In order for that to happen, it would have to be another loss for Mahomes at Arrowhead with Reed. And I just keep I think Cincinnati appears to be the best team too. But in the back of my head, I keep thinking, really, is Mahomes really going to lose four straight to this team? Like that just. That's there. Like, where are you as you head down there for the game on Sunday? Where's your head on how this thing goes?
I agree with you. That was kind of my logic going into that early December game, that Week 13 game. Is, all right, are you really going to beat them 3 times in a year, like in 11 months? Like it's still Mahomes and Reed and Kelsey, and the Chiefs leading up to that game were clearly out for revenge and made that known. And the Bengals, they won the game, but they left points on the field. They had this little end around to Trent Taylor on 4th down, where on the goal line, where if you call any other play, you probably pick up the first down or you maybe score. And so I think that Tyler Boyd had a drop touchdown in that game too, I believe. So they left points out there, still found a way to win. I think that they are the better team, but Arrowhead, that crowd, it's the loudest stadium I've ever been in. That's tough. The offensive line issues, it's one thing to get out to a lead against the Bills and not have to communicate as much or not have as many communication issues because the crowd isn't as loud because you have a 14-0 lead early in the first quarter. Much different when Arrowhead's going crazy. And so I think getting off to a good start, which they haven't really done, certainly didn't do last year in the AFC title game, is big for this team. I'm leaning Bengals, but I think it's going to be a really close game. And I expect Patrick Mahomes. I know there's a lot of talk about his ankle. I just expect him to play at a really high level because it's still Patrick Mahomes.
If you look at Burrow's stats, 3 straight under 250, 5 of the last 6 under 250. Is that, he has the 375 against New England, but that was a game he threw 2 picks, and they win 22-18, which is wild when he threw for 375 and 3 to have 22 points only in the game. Is that something that has been by design? Is that something that you would imagine would have to change if you want to go beat Kansas City? In the Kansas City game, when they won 27-24, he goes 80%, 25-31, 286, and 2. Do you read anything into that, or is that just winter football, tough opponents in the Baltimore Ravens, tough opponent, obviously, in the snow against Buffalo?
Well, I think they got out to such a lead, and they were in control against Buffalo. I mean, he started 9 for 9 for 105.
Yep.
And was throwing it all over. And they were like, we can actually, and this is so weird to say, because I thought going into that game it was going to be so tight. Probably the surprise of the playoffs to me, to this point, that it was such a one-sided game. But the fact that they were in control and the defense was playing as well as they were, I think they dialed it back, and they leaned on that run game. He could have thrown for 300 last week. And so, yeah, they're certainly built. It does need to be a shootout, and it is going to go that route. They're still confident in throwing it around. And I think they're going to throw it early, but they certainly hope that Joe Mixon and this offensive line can get some push in the run game.
James, great stuff, man. Thanks for your time today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's James Rapien joining us on the road on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of the Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. When they, like last week against Buffalo, they did this. When they get leads, like they just salt it. Like they just snap it with 2 seconds. Like they burn it. They burn clock. And they've been able to get Mixon going. That's a huge part of this, is they've been able to get him going. But it's mostly been second half for Mixon.
He still threw it 36 times.
Yeah.
He threw it against Baltimore 42 for 215 yards, 39 against Tampa for 200 yards. I mean, and then early in the year, you'd be like 37, 300 yards, 42, 481, 39, 355. So it's just interesting. But his career for the Chiefs, 28-35 is his average game against the Chiefs. 28-35, 366 yards, 3 touchdowns. Feels pretty good.
That feels pretty good.
Yeah, feels pretty good.
We'll pick it later. But it's funny. I meant what I said to James. Like everybody I've talked to, morning or afternoon, it's Cincinnati, 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 Cincinnati.
And that's why
I can't possibly choose the one in front of me.
Yeah, it feels like it's too much of a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
It's a very good football team,
and that's a pick'em, a game that's a pick'em.
Yeah,
or it's vacillated. It was 1.5 to 2.5 to pick. I don't know where it is today, but yeah, there's so much pressure on the Kansas City side of it.
But now I feel like there's a lot of pressure on the Bengals. They're almost being treated like a favorite. They lost the Super Bowl last year.
I think it's Kansas City. I think it's at home. It's 5 straight AFC Championship games. It's just the one Super Bowl. You know, there's kind of a Braves feel to it. The '90s Braves.
So
where
they went
so many at bats. You know,
but they went to 2.
They went to 2, 1 and lost.
And 1-1.
Yeah. But this would be 2 straight. I mean, you'd start to lose the mystique of Arrowhead
if you lose this game. Yeah, there's a lot on line for both of these teams.
Well, if you're going to play to win go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, for sure. But like, it does feel like, to me, it feels like there's more on Kansas City, with everything at play there. But
I would agree. It would feel that way to me even more if they were like 3 or 4 point favorites. The fact that like they're being spread and treated as though they are the inferior team.
Yeah,
that does put a little bit of pressure on like the Bengals, in my mind, and the way that they're talking and they're calling it Burrowhead. Like they are doing a lot of talking.
They're doing a lot of talking, man.
Which may be because they know they can back it up.
Yeah, they have a ton of
It just feels like this is a game that's going to come down to like who makes the critical mistake.
Yeah, and it's, it hasn't been Burrow in these moments.
No.
He has not done that.
Hasn't turned it over since week 16 against New England.
Yep. All right, coming up next, our positional breakdowns continue. We do the tight end position coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
takes the snap, back, looking, firing, up in the air, caught, touchdown, David Njoku. Takes the snap, play action fake, got to the right, looking, throwing, Bryant caught it, and he hung on. What a catch as he got drilled. Harrison Bryant on a 9-yard hero catch.
The whole tight end room, we have amazing athletes, with Harrison, Farrell, Dyer, so I know they work hard every day. They prepare as if they are tight end one. So
Watson underneath center. Turns, play action fake, throws it out, caught, and Njoku at the 10, he's at the 5, he dives for the pylon, touchdown! The Chief is in the end zone, and he slams down that ball on a 13-yard catch and run.
Throws wide open, it's Harrison Bryant, touchdown Browns.
Welcome back to Florida, Harrison Bryant, first touchdown on the year.
Our whole tight end room is extremely talented, as you've seen so far. All we really talk about and focus on in our room is just getting better every day, and I think we've all done that and just look to continue to do that.
1st and 10, takes it, drops to throw, look, pulls it down. Now he's going to run, gets away from 1, 2, he's got Bryant wide open at the 50, at the 45, across the field, still running, at the 40, at the 39-yard line. Watson bootlegs left, got a man open, it's caught, and Njoku 10, hurdles down to the 5-yard line and out of bounds. Looking back, throws near side, and Njoku's wide open. Up the sideline, 25, he hurdles 20, and he's inside the 20, and he finally goes into the Browns sideline. We may not win the game, but we win the hurdles.
the mindset of a hurdle,
Back in 30.
I guess it's just like the spark of the moment,
Here's Brissett, looking, firing, end zone. Oh, what a catch by Njoku! Touchdown! What a catch by the Chief! A touchdown!
He put it up where only the Chief could get it, and he went up with the one hand, only his left hand with the defender draped on him, and stared it in. What a catch by the Chief when you needed it the most. Oh my,
You're up.
Jim.
Yes. Fantastic. As we
baby.
continue our off-season positional breakdown at the tight end position. Not now.
Now?
Yep. Now you're on. Now you're on. You're good. It is the tight end position.
All right. There it is. Now I can hear myself.
Now you're good. Yep.
Yeah.
And it is, of course, led by the Chief. 58 receptions, 628, just 11. It's hard to believe in 2018 he topped that, but he did. 4 touchdowns as well. Harrison Bryant back as well, 31 receptions, 239 and a touch. I'll tell you what. The Chief had a great year. There's more in there.
Oh, yeah.
Bigly.
Bigly in that way. And Harrison Bryant, career year, he exceeded his career high in yards by 1, his catches by 7. Touchdowns, first time he did not have 3 touchdowns in a season. But you go to the Chief. Here's the thing. He has an opportunity to really become, and I think he was an elite tight end this year. He's one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL. He 58, 628, and 4 we talked about. But if you really go in and kind of dive into what David Njoku was able to do last year, you got to remember, he missed a few games. He missed 3 games on the season. And really, you had some bad weather late. Obviously, it affected his stats against New Orleans. But a guy, oh, there he is, the designer, Podes walking by. What a moment of triumph.
Look
what
at
a glory.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And he's in the original. I mean, what a moment that was.
Oh, just delightful.
Like the Spider-Man gif.
Yeah, really was. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
3 touchdowns, he had 3 of his 4 touchdowns came in the final 6 games. 2 of them in the games with Deshaun Watson. I really think that he has a chance to become one of the preeminent tight ends in the game. And what you saw this year was that stretch right before he got hurt against Pittsburgh, 9 for 89, a touchdown, 5 for 73 against Atlanta, 6 for 88 against Chargers, 3 for 58, 7 for 71 against the Ravens. That's what he can be. He can be a guy that gives you 70 yards every single game. If he does that, yes, he will be over 1,000 yards on the season. I think that is certainly within play for him, especially get somebody with some speed, open up the middle of the field even more. But David Njoku, I think, is ready to really ascend to that elite level. And if you still look on a per-game basis, he was top 6 or 7 in every category for tight ends.
Yep.
So this was a very productive year. It's what you expected after you gave him that contract, and I think even bigger things are on the horizon with a full season of Deshaun Watson and a full season of this offense really starting to get into gear as it goes forward.
You said something interesting off the top there. You said many interesting things, but this one I took note of. You said that you really believe he's one of the best tight ends in the league, all-around tight ends in the league. Is it essential that he is, based on the way our roster is constructed? Because I think it might be. I think he needs to be. I'm not saying Kelsey, but the step below that is probably required based on the way our roster is put together.
If he can give you,
he's got to be around 1,000 yards in that vicinity.
It depends on who this new receiver is, right?
But we know that's going to be hard.
Yes.
I mean, let's put all the cards on the table. You don't have a first-round pick. You have tremendous need at defensive line and at speed receiver.
Yep.
That's going to be hard to come by. So it's probably going to be somebody drafted in the later rounds. It could be a free agent, but you never know how that's all going to shake out. He's kind of.
Here's one thing.
You know what I mean?
We threw for 3,710 yards this year. Okay? 3,710. My guess on a conservative estimate is with a full season of Deshaun Watson, we're going to be throwing for, we'll call it conservative, 4,300 yards. Let's call it that. Is that fair to you?
Yeah.
On a conservative. It's probably more than that.
I'm with the 17 game, like on a 16 game, I always had a good feel
for 252 yards a game. We'll probably be above that.
Yeah, I think we'll be above that. Let's see where the let me just see where the leaders were this year in yards.
I'm going to do an exercise.
Brady left it. You continue the exercise.
Just for the Chiefs.
Brady was at 52.50.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's absurd.
How many people were?
Herbert was 47. No, Mahomes was 52.50. Brady was 46.94. Cousins was 4,500.
Right. Okay.
So that feels about somewhere in there. Burrow was 4,500.
Okay, let's just say it's 4,500.
Yep.
Okay, 4,500. And this year we were 3,710. So 3,710 divided by 4,500 is 82.82. 82%. So we have a ton of room to grow. And I'll do it the other way, which would be 4,500 divided by 3,710, which equals 1.2, and then just multiply that by the Chiefs' number. So if the Chief just does his exact same share in that offense, he's up. We're at 800 yards. That's in 14 games. Now, if you were to do that Jay, walk like an Egyptian.
He's excited.
If you take what the Chief did last year over, this is what I'm going to do. So 628. Basically, 1,000 yards is very much within the realm of possibility. 760.
Well, I think he needs a bigger share, is what I'm saying. I think it's important that he actually grows.
Even at the same share, if he played 17 games in what we're talking about next year, it would be 930. So if he increases,
that's what I think is necessary.
Which I think is necessary, and I think likely, 1,000 yards is absolutely in the realm of possibility for him, and as are, in my opinion, 7-8 touchdowns. But he also is what he does as a blocker. If he can give you Dallas Goedert, if he can give you even what Dalton Schultz has been of late for the Dallas Cowboys through the air, and then be the blocker that he is on top of that, that's going to be a pretty incredible situation for the Cleveland Browns. And I don't see why he cannot do that. I think he is very capable of doing that.
I agree. And I do think that I think it's going to be, because it is going to be tough to find what ails you at the receiver spot. You need somebody to fall into your lap in the second or third round, or you need to discover somebody there. It's hard to find those.
Or you're going to have to get like a DJ Chark, and he's somebody who can do it. It'd be a reasonably priced free agent. The thing is, you need Chief to be all that, because Harrison Bryant is kind of in the same range all the time. Now, more opportunities, you would say maybe he can do more, but if we were to go ahead and quickly zoom in on Harrison Bryant's season this year, in the games that David Njoku missed, you'd say to yourself, oh, well, then that means he's going to really, kind of blow up. Well, the first game he missed against Cincinnati, we won 32-13. He doesn't catch a pass. Miami, 3 catches for 15 yards. Buffalo, 4 catches for 41 yards. So that didn't manifest itself that way. I think that you would like to maybe mid-round draft a tight end. I think Zaire Mitchell-Payton, who's certainly here in your reserve future deal, they think he can be a blocking tight end, what Pharaoh Brown was for the team. You could always bring Pharaoh Brown back. He's an unrestricted free agent who's more of a blocker.
Zaire Mitchell-Payton was the basketball player at Texas Tech.
He's big physical specimen guy. Jesse James, who's been in the league for 8 years, he's still here. I see him all the time here rehabbing. But yeah, it's about Chief. If this room's going to be elite, Chief needs to give you elite production. There's nobody else here that is going to do that for you. Harrison Bryant is a good player. a solid role player. You probably need to add one more solid role player either in the draft or free agency to round out the room and see if Zaire Mitchell-Payton can take a step, because physically he's exactly what you want. I mean, he's a big, strong man.
Yeah, Harrison Bryant's been more productive than we did the receiver room yesterday, and the receiver room when we were talking about Bell and we're talking about Schwartz and we're talking about those guys, like Harrison Bryant's been more productive, but it also feels like the time to make an impact is running a bit thin in terms of consistent impact. Like, I think the hope was that he'd be a little further along and be able to have contributed more certainly this year, than maybe what happened. And some of that's the product of the situation you were in with the quarterback switch and everything else.
Sure. I mean, he only got 42 targets, so he caught 74% of his targets. He had one of the highest catch rates on the team. Only Kareem Hunt had a higher catch rate than him of people who were targeted on a regular basis. So he did a good job from that respect. Chief, by the way, was great this year, 72.5%. He just limited opportunities. I think he's just a little bit limited in terms of his explosiveness as an athlete, all of those things. He's improved as a blocker. But, yeah, you don't want him to have big numbers because you want David Njoku to have huge numbers. And quite frankly, we're going to go more towards, I think, being an 11 personnel base team. Yeah, with Deshaun Watson. So it's not as important, but it's nice. Harrison Bryant gives you good depth, and that's why I said you can get away with maybe even 2 tight ends on the 53 and 1 on the practice squad this year when you're doing roster creation, because I think we'll be constructed differently. The days of needing 3 and 4 tight ends, I think, are over. You might have a play here or a play there where you do that, but it's not going to certainly be a huge part of what we do. I don't think it'll be as big a part as what we do as it was in recent memory.
Nope, doesn't seem so. Gibby wants to know, what was the most impressive change you saw from David Njoku from last season to this?
That's easy for me, and it has nothing to do with on the field, where he was excellent, but we've seen his potential for years. To me, it was his leadership. I thought the words that he spoke, the way that he lives the accountability that I think this organization strives for. And I think if more people had the mindset that David Njoku has and approach things the way that he does, I think this team would have been in a better place this year than it was. I love that leadership. I love that he said, this is on us. Yep. If you don't like the results, like, work harder or be better, period. Love that. Love the Chief.
It's so interesting how he approached the contract that he was given as a way of, watch me justify this.
Yes.
On and off the field.
Yes.
Which was refreshing. Because you always see that in a professional athlete. You don't usually, sometimes that happens and it's a chill. That wasn't here, man. Chief got compensated like a big time tight end, and he said, watch me earn this on and off the field, and became a real team leader.
Which is why I believe in his ability to be great. Because physically he's got tremendous gifts, but he's got the right mindset. There are people in this league who get paid and are like, I made it, and then they coast. Then there are other people in this league who get paid and then have what I would call somewhat of a mental crisis. Yeah. Where it's, oh, man, they said I'm this good. Like, am I this good?
Yep.
Oh, now they're talking bad about me, but I got paid, and so it almost has them like a shrinking violet shrink from the competition, whereas David Njoku took it head on, and I think if you can, somehow kind of get into, and I know that these organizations do that, the way that Nick Chubb did. Nick Chubb gets paid and is like, I'm going to work harder and not be afraid. I'm not going to be afraid of what this status says about me. I'm going to live it, and I think that's an important thing.
Yeah, and he will. In terms of what this room could look like, it speaks to the change going to much more shotgun, much more 11 versus what we've been up until this point.
Yeah.
So
we'll still have under center. I think we'll still do 2 tight end sets, but for the most part, you want to put, your quarterback in the most advantageous positions. I think part of that is going to be combining the super structured nature of our offense and the timing and rhythm with those layups, and also marrying that with just giving him plays and letting him be a playmaker.
Absolutely. All right, we will take a deep dive on the NFC Championship game. We will figure out – this is a good one too, man. Niners and Eagles. There's a lot in this one. We'll get you set for that one coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Time to head out on the Twisted Tea hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, an official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. We are joined by 49ers reporter on the NBC Sports Bay Area. Jennifer Luchan joins us. Jennifer, thank you so much. Let's just start with the Purdy. I mean, this is just one of the most remarkable stories in the league. Before he started playing, were there any whispers out of Niners camp of what he was capable of, or did this hit everybody like a ton of bricks?
You know, I think it hit everybody outside the building like a ton of bricks, but everybody inside the building saw what he was doing during training camp in the limited amount of snaps that he got throughout the season before he was the starter. And it showed them what he was capable of doing. Now, he ran the scout team offense going against the number one defense in the league, arguably, since Trey Lance got hurt in week 2. So, you know, he's been going up against Fred Warner and Nick Bosa in practice. So he knows what a top defense can do, and they were not surprised when he stepped into the spotlight that he's performed the way he has.
It's one thing they say they're not surprised about it, but we're talking about a guy who's played the best football of any quarterback in the NFL since he took over, hasn't lost a game. It'd be one thing if he was like, okay, he did some good things and it was okay, and you know we were able to overcome it. But the fact that they've won some games because of his play, his ability to deliver on 3rd and longs, I mean, maybe they knew, but if they knew, he probably should have been playing over Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance from the rip.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't know how good he would be, you know, throughout as many games as he's won. But I think they knew that he had the potential to play very well. He's got great pocket awareness. He's one of those guys who's very calm and is very rarely ruffled. So, I mean, I think that says a lot for, you know, his preparation. I think a big part of it is that he was a 4-year starter at Iowa State. So he has experience. It's not like, you know, he only had 1 year under center. So that all that experience has really paid off. And a guy, you know, who's been told over and over again that he's too short, that he doesn't have enough arm strength. Those things, you know, sit in the back of a guy's head. And I think it really has affected how diligent he is in his work ethic. And that is shown on the field.
Is this the best job Kyle's done out there this season with everything?
You know, I think part of it is execution, which of course falls on the quarterback, you know, on the coaches, but he's also had the most weapons. You look at what has happened since Christian McCaffrey joined the team. Really what McCaffrey has done is what I think they wanted Jerick McKinnon to be when they first got to Santa Clara. You know, a running back that can really run great routes. And you look at how Jerick McKinnon is, you know, thriving now. That's what they wanted to have him do when he was with the 49ers. Now they have it in Christian McCaffrey, and he's really opened up the offense. You look at how many star players are around Brock Purdy, and that I think also helps him in his performance.
All right, let's talk about the big acquisition midseason, Christian McCaffrey. What has he meant to this offense, and just kind of that's helped Brock Purdy, as does Kittle, as does Debo, as does Ayuk, and a great offensive line. But Christian McCaffrey, it feels like, really is the engine right now of the 49ers on offense.
He is, you know, you see him in the locker room. He's very serious. He doesn't joke around much. He, you know, is just a workhorse. And I think one of the things that happened when Christian McCaffrey came into the building is that he was trying to learn Kyle Shanahan's playbook. And the guy who worked with him to get better at it, to recognize hearing the plays in the huddle, was Brock Purdy. So those two have been working together since Christian McCaffrey entered the building. McCaffrey likes to learn the plays by hearing it as opposed to just reading it. So the two of them would, you know, work after practice. Brock would, you know, recite the plays to him as if they were in the huddle together, and then go through things on air. And both of them, I think, benefited greatly from that, and it's really built the chemistry from the get-go for those two players.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like you mentioned this, and the McCaffrey's part of that too. But Debo and Kittle and Ayuk, I mean, they have so many things, so many toys for Kyle to play with. Almost, it seems they do so many inventive things every snap, every series. If something different is in there, new wrinkles. Just from your perspective, it's got to be fun covering this team, because it feels like every time out you see something you haven't seen before.
Yeah, Kyle does keep it very interesting. He's very, very creative, and it's all based on the matchup that they're going to get on defense. So what you see one week is completely different from what you see the next. So with the Eagles defense and the Cowboys defense being very, very different, he's going to have different things schemed up for sure. I think what's been most interesting throughout the course of the season and the postseason, how they come out of the halftime, out of the break, and how they kind of reevaluate what they're doing. And the script that they go through at the beginning of the half for that first offensive drive really kind of shows how he can manipulate an opposing defense. How they came out of the break going up against the Cowboys. They went from outside zone to inside because they weren't getting a lot of yards. And the way he's able to create space and manipulate the opposing defense is really remarkable.
Is George Kittle as fun to cover as it appears that he would be?
He's definitely one of the biggest personalities on the team. He's lots of fun. I've been, covering George since he was a rookie, and it's been fun to see him develop. And just looking at what he does on the field, I mean, just from the bobbling catches to not being able to be tackled by one guy. Usually it has to take two, sometimes three, sometimes four guys to bring him down. His spirit and his excitement for the game is something that I think is contagious, and it helps the offense. It helps the defense. He's one of those motivating factors on the entire team.
And the other thing about him that I noticed this in the post game over the loss with the win over Dallas, where they're doing the national post game. I think it was Aaron Andrews on it. I can't recall, but it was whoever it was doing the interview. And Purdy was, you could tell like he was pretty wide eyed, and there's a lot that he's taken in at once, and it felt like Kittle almost is a security blanket on and off the field for Purdy, and really this entire offense. Is that true? That perception?
I think it's the entire offense. You look at how they're built, and there's a lot of veteran experience. I mean, it's pretty incredible that guys like, Deebo Samuel, 3 NFC championship games in 4 years, and, veterans like Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. I mean, those guys have really helped lift Brock Purdy up. Granted, he's absolutely capable of doing it on his own because he is so, wired like a professional. But I think having that group around him makes it so much easier for a rookie.
We haven't even talked about the defense.
Yeah,
which is also elite, led by Nick Bosa up front, maybe the best linebacker combo in the league, and then they've been getting it done on the back end as well. This defense, where does it rank for you among some of the recent Niners defenses, and just how good are they, and what do they need to do to try to slow down the Philadelphia Eagles?
I think when they played the Raiders in Week 17, that was a huge wake-up call for them. Jarrett Stidham ran on them, and 4 first downs. I think it really surprised them, and it was kind of good for that group to face a little adversity before heading into the postseason. They've been much better about keeping their rush lanes clean, and they've been more disciplined going forward. And, you look at Nick Bosa, I mean, you can't ask for more skilled pass rusher. He is, not only wires up that defensive line, but he's also incredibly physically fit. I mean, he played all but like 3 or 4 snaps in that last game versus the Cowboys. Yeah. You don't normally see from an edge rusher. Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw are, just ridiculously talented. Fred Warner, I think, in coverage doesn't get enough credit. He was, the pass play on 3rd down to CeeDee Lamb, where he was on the complete other side of the field and then ran across the field to cover him and prevent a conversion. I mean, for a guy that big, he shouldn't be able to run that fast. So you look at the talent there, and then in the secondary, as long as the pass rush is keeping it, pressure on the quarterback, they don't have to cover as long. The guys back there have been doing a really good job. Deommodore Lenoir has started to kind of blossom. He got 2 picks in the postseason so far. So they're really pretty solid across all 3 levels.
They are. And I saw a clip of Bosa mic'd up. He's just like, man, getting to the quarterback's hard. Yeah, I like to get sacked.
He's great.
He just seems like such a just chill guy for somebody who is relentless and violent and physical on the field. It sounds like there's a lot of contrasting personalities in that locker room.
It is. I actually talked to him about one of his interviews that I had listened to, and I was like, "You're hilarious on radio." He's like, "Yeah, that's kind of my shtick." So I mean, like, that's the personality. He's very mellow. I think he saves all of his energy for what he has to do on the field. One of his best kind of answers to us in press conferences this year is, I'm just a hermit. He's like, he does his thing at the facility. He goes home. He puts himself up on the couch, he watches some shows, and then he goes to sleep, and then he gets up in the morning and goes back to work. So, I mean, like, he really does not have a social life, and I think he's fine with that. I think the biggest goal is getting to the Super Bowl and winning one. So, I mean, hey, the sacrifice is worth it.
The thing that is so interesting about this matchup with Philly is these two teams are capable of winning whatever style of fight you want. Like, both these teams have proven they can score in the 30s, approaching 40. They both prove that they can win games in the teens. You've observed this Niners team up close and personal. What type of style of fight do you think we're going to get on Sunday?
I think the big one's going to be in the trenches for both sides. The offensive line, defensive line, both sides are really well matched, and they're very talented. So, who's going to be able to eke out more yards? And really, I think who makes the least amount of mistakes is going to win the game. If, like watching the Niners play the Cowboys, Dak Prescott threw 2 picks. So, any mistake, I think, is going to be a huge factor and affect the game. So they've got to play clean ball on both sides, but really in the trenches, that's where it's going to happen. As always, I mean, I always believe that's where it starts. If they can keep Brock Purdy clean, Hassan Reddick is so good at getting around the corner. So if they can stop him or at least slow him down, keep the pocket clean, I think they've got a good chance.
All right, I got to go back 1 week. I grew up in the Bay Area, full disclosure, huge 49ers fan. Niners, Cowboys, that's like my 8th grade into early high school, graduated in 96, so saw the Steve Young title, but was a Joe Montana guy. I want to be clear about that. What was that environment like? Because for me watching it, the beautiful uniform combination, Jerry Rice, all the Niners legends, Charles Haley, Merton Hanks walking around. What was it like on the field before that game? And I'm bummed that this game's in Philly. Obviously, it would be cool to have it, there, but to have a Niners-Cowboys playoff game of that level of importance in the Bay Area with all those legends there, what was it like for somebody who would just eat that up like I would?
Chaotic. There were so many people on the field pregame. I was like, how do we have this many field passes for all these people? But it was incredibly fun, tons of energy. And, Joe Montana walking down the field. Jerry Rice is kind of a normal feature at most games. But, it was quite a scene. I got to see several players, like Patrick Willis was there, a lot of guys from that Harbaugh era, Ian Williams, so Deshaun Goldson, of course, on NBC Sports Bay Area we have Dante Whitner on our team. So it was a lot of fun. And then Charles Haley, of course, the one that got away from the 49ers. So it was a fun scene, but it was just, a little chaotic.
What is Jerry Rice's necklace like in person?
It's very blingy.
Yeah. Looks like it weighs 20
and
pounds.
It looks like it weighs about 5 tons. Yeah, but he holds it up like it's not too crazy, but he's definitely a character. That thing is blinding. We'll say that.
Was he running any routes pregame or catching passes? Because last time we were there on Monday Night Football, he was like out there running routes, catching passes before. Unfortunately, on that game, the Niners gave it to the Browns.
He wasn't running routes. Yeah, I know. He wasn't running routes, but he does catch a few passes from guys. They'll toss the ball to him a little bit, but he was, on the field with the wide receivers group, kind of dapping them up and getting them ready for the game during warm-up. So, and then he's like kind of towards the end zone of the home side during the game. So I think when Kittle gave him, I think a touchdown ball. Yeah. When Christian McCaffrey ran in. So he's down by that goalpost. So he's always a fixture at Niners home games.
So great.
Awesome.
So great. Jennifer, we thank you so much for your time. We'll get you out of here on this one. How do you think this thing goes Sunday?
I think it comes down to the wire. I think, the guy, Mr. Professional, Robbie Gould, has a huge play in this because I think it's going to be hard for any team to score. So, he's got to be on it as usual, and I expect he will be, but I think it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, it does feel like it. Feels like both of them are. Enjoy it. It's fun when you cover games like this and atmospheres like the one you're going to have on Sunday. Enjoy it, and thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.
All right, that's Jennifer Chan. She joins us on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, an official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it Twisted Cleveland. Coming up next, we go around the NFL. Scores and over-unders still ahead. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. One of the most passionate fan base in the NFL. Join the Browns season ticket member waitlist today. Best chance of securing tickets for all home games and future seasons. Don't miss out. Go to clevelandbrowns.com/tickets or call 440-891-5050 to reserve your spot today. The Panthers announcing today, making it official, Frank Reich as the new head coach. The team did announce that. Steve Wilkes was in on that until the very end. Did 6-6 as an interim. Did a nice job there. They go with Frank Reich. It's interesting on Reich because I've seen people say, "Why he was a failure? He's getting such a quick chance all over again after just being fired in Indy." I mean, honestly, look what he went through in Indy.
Well liked, well respected.
There's a lot going on. I mean, that's Rivers, Wentz, Ryan, that ownership, and wasn't he hired for luck?
Yes.
Wasn't he? Didn't he? Wasn't it Brissett first?
And I believe he got the job after McDaniels. Right.
I believe you're right. McDaniels was going to do it and then backed out, and then it became Frank Reich. But his first year was
say he was choice number 2.
I do love that Austin Powers number 2.
He's not even listening.
I know.
He would have loved that.
He would have loved that.
So apropos.
Yeah, he loved it. But he was hired. That was the Andrew Luck year.
Yes.
And then Luck retired in camp when we were there, and then all of a sudden it's Brissett, Rivers, Wentz, like that's who he was.
Yeah,
what he was dealing with there. So we'll see. That job, it's just can they figure out something at quarterback? Right. I mean, they're just going to have to figure that out. Rams have hired former Jets offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur to be their new OC. Makes all the sense in the world.
Totally.
He was there previously.
Yep.
So that's a win.
He's in. That's the tree. That's
right.
That's all in the same Shanahan.
Well, that was what made me. That was my theory on why none of these positions are being hired. There's no more fruit on that tree. The McVay-Shanahan trees are out of fruit. They've all been hired. So, and D'Amico's going to get a job. It sounds like it's going to be in Houston, but it could be Denver. So
my guess is that had to be some type of a recommendation from Shanahan or I mean, it's the same system, same tree. Cause
they all know each other, though. Like LaFleur would know McVay. I mean, that goes all the way back to Washington, right?
Yeah, but
was it McVay on that staff with Kyle and his dad?
Yes, so McVay was there, so he would know Kyle through there.
Sure.
But Mike LaFleur's first job was actually here in 2014.
With Kyle.
With Kyle as an offensive intern. Then he went with Kyle to the Falcons, and then he went with Kyle to the Niners. And then he went to the Jets as the OC for 2 seasons, and now he's the Rams OC. But I mean,
it's all the same.
It's all in the same world.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Cowboys defense coordinator Dan Quinn has decided up potential head coaching jobs to remain in Dallas. Head coach Mike McCarthy confirmed yesterday they fired 6 assistants in Dallas, but they're keeping both coordinators, or they're keeping both coaches and coordinator because what's his name? Kellen Moore interviewed in Carolina, but he's staying as offensive coordinator, and Quinn's staying as defensive coordinator. But they got rid of 6 assistants in Dallas.
Who?
Well, I don't know their whole staff, but there were 6 of them.
I know one of the guys they fired was Leon Lett.
Wow.
Yeah.
Offensive line coach Joe Philbin, who I believe
he's been there forever
and was a head coach, right?
Yeah,
Miami.
I think he was in it. Well, and
with Green Bay, he was.
That's true.
OC.
Yeah.
I feel like was he here for a hot second too?
That I don't know.
Well, I definitely think he was because I remember him talking about like splitting practices up, or maybe he was coaching a team that was here. So he was the Packers assistant offensive line, tight end assistant, offensive line, offensive coordinator, Dolphins for 3 years head coach, Indianapolis assistant offensive line. Maybe he was like a consultant here one year or something. I don't know. Doesn't say anything. But he was around. I remember that guy. Maybe he was here we did a joint practice with the Colts, and he was here. But I'd definitely been around. Anyway.
Yeah. So, yeah, they got rid of 6 assistants. Somehow Quinn stays.
Somehow the OC stays.
And Kellen Moore stays, and McCarthy stays. But they got rid of a bunch of assistants.
But
which is rare. Usually there's a coordinator,
So they got rid of O-line coach Joe Philbin, running back coach Skip Preet, senior defensive
That guy's been there forever.
Skip
Pete? Did you say Skip Pete?
Yeah.
That guy has been there forever. And by the way, I would say Tony Pollard was darn good.
Yeah. So, and by the way, if you're Dan Quinn, might make sense. None of these jobs are out of this world.
No, and if he stays there, there's a good chance he can
be an interim or
guy.
something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steelers president Art Rooney II wouldn't comment about the possibility of extension of Mike Tomlin during the end-of-the-year press conference with media members. He said, quote, "I don't like to speculate on coach's contract. We'll see. I can see no scenario where he does not continue as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers."
I guess he was hesitant. Someone asked him about a contract extension, and
well, the "will see" is new for them. Usually they don't.
Yeah.
You know, the "will see" part is there. Yeah.
Skip Pete, by the way, has been a running back coach in the NFL since 1998.
That's a long time.
Raiders, 898 to 2006. Cowboys, first stint, 2007-2012. Bears, 13-14. Rams, 16 to 19. So that would have been like peak Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
And then back to the Cowboys, 20 to 22.
It makes no rhyme or reason why they got rid of who they got rid of.
Yeah, I guess they just felt like they had to fire somebody.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to fire the head, and they didn't want to fire the coordinator.
Like, you went to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah. Right.
Had a chance to win on the road.
Yeah. Florio saying, could the conference championships become a Sunday, Monday event? No. Stupid.
Well, whether or not you want it to be.
It's just stupid.
No.
Like, and I'll tell you what else you should do. If you truly wanted to do what's right here, it should be championship Saturday. Play these on Saturday. Or one Saturday, one Sunday. Why make us stack into 7 hours of sustained football?
Here's what you got to do.
Do one Saturday night at 8 and do the other one Sunday at 6:30.
Perfect.
Problem solved. Then both nights are accounted for. Come on.
How about this? Let me throw this at you.
Super Bowl should be on Saturday, by the way.
Or Monday should be a holiday.
Or Monday's a holiday. One of the two. You sort it out, however you want to do it.
Fine. WWE's doing that, by the way. The Royal Rumble, for example, is this Saturday.
Yeah.
It's not Sunday anymore.
Good.
Saturday. So here was my idea. Now, the one wrench that's thrown into it is in Super Wild Card now, you have a Monday game. But Saturday should be the day of the NFC. Sunday should be the day of the AFC, because that's the only way that you could keep it so that everybody has the same rest. So the divisional round.
Perfect. Every divisional round game, NFC Saturday.
Yep. And then you get to make who's going to be in the championship game. Then Sunday, same for the AFC. And then you go Saturday, Sunday. As I said, the only hard part would be how you deal with that extra game on Monday night, because you wouldn't go from a Monday to a Saturday. You couldn't do that. So
they
it
would
would
have to be an AFC every time.
There's going to be one AFC team that's disadvantaged.
You're going to want but you're going to want to be in. I mean, that's from a TV perspective. That's always going to be a good match. I mean, it's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
So that's it. Don't go to Monday.
No
one needs
Absolutely not. Stop it.
Nobody needs it. Go to Saturday night.
I don't know what the infatuation is. College football is determined to play the national championship.
That's out of necessity, because college football does not want to go up against the NFL. So that time of year, they go Monday night because the NFL stays away from Monday night.
Do it on Friday night.
And that's the only way. Well, that's dead. You know that.
Come on.
From a rating standpoint, you can't do Friday
Can't do
night.
that.
But you could do if
I believe Ohio State
could
won
do
a national
Saturday
championship on a Friday.
On a New Year's Eve, yeah. Yeah, you can't do that.
No. Tressel, when he beat Miami, was on a Friday night. Oh, I defiled myself. Don't worry. I'm aware. Springfield, Illinois.
Man. Really?
Yeah, it was on a Friday night.
Yeah. I don't recall the date. I remember watching it vividly. I was in Florida at the time, but I do remember watching it vividly, but I don't recall the day of the week that it was. This is a happy trails, posthumous happy trails. Legendary college basketball analyst Billy Packer died yesterday at 82. So just a couple of moments on this, fellas. For me growing up, college basketball was the most important thing that I consumed.
Agreed.
It wasn't. It's odd. Like, people think it's crazy now. You say it now, but it was not the NFL. It was not even the NBA. It was college basketball.
College hoops.
Like college hoops from the middle of the 80s through the middle of the 90s was extraordinary.
It's the golden age.
It was the golden age.
Yeah.
It was
those teams would smoke these teams. Like smoke.
The best play. Shaquille O'Neal played 3 years at LSU.
Yeah.
So everything that we have in the NFL with the college NFL marriage, this absolute ultimate minor league that sends you ready-made stars, you had in basketball. You had ready-made stars walking onto NBA teams ready to be dudes who were known, who were grown men, quite frankly, in the case of Larry Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Alonzo Mourning, and others. And so
Jamison, Carter.
Oh my God,
there
were so many
for years. Ron Mercer, Antoine Walker.
Those guys were both. They were 3-year guys. I mean, those guys were all 3-year guys. Grant Hill played 4 years at Duke.
Yes.
4 years. Like that. This was the norm. And so Packer was the voice of it.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I couldn't stand him because he was pretty arrogant and pretty glasses half empty and very critical. His style was very critical.
Yeah.
And it was something that as a kid bugged me. But as I got older, I grew to appreciate. And he also, in addition to his CBS duties, he would do, if I don't even know if this was available to you guys here, but there was the ACC tournament used to be on a network called Jefferson Pilot. Okay? So in the South, it was on this network called Jefferson Pilot. And Jefferson Pilot broadcast ACC regular season games during the year. Billy Packer would call those games. So while ESPN's feed of the ACC, two networks did it. ESPN did the feed, and that was done by like Dickie V and whoever he was, Mike Patrick probably.
Mike Patrick, Dan Schulman, one of those two.
Those guys. ACC feed was Billy Packer, and that was on Jefferson Pilot. And he called the ACC tournament forever. And I got to meet him a couple of times when I was down there around ACC tournaments and stuff, and he was great. Really was great. And his son, Mark, who does radio down in the South, awesome guy. You do every Final Four. You're involved with every Final Four from 1975 to 2008.
Yeah.
That's legacy.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely iconic. And yes, very much the formative. And it's funny, you got two Billies, right? You had Packer and Raftery were the kiss.
Well, Raftery was CBS 2, but he would always have to bow out at the Elite Eight because Final Four was Jim Nantz and Billy Packer.
Yeah.
That was it.
I mean, Sean McManus said it well. He was synonymous with college basketball for more than 3 decades and set the standard of excellence as the voice of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Yeah, no doubt.
Nance was on Good Morning America and
talking about it.
Almost broke down a couple times.
Yeah.
I mean, it hit him pretty hard. You could tell.
Well, he was not without controversy, and he was pushed out in 2008.
Yeah.
Which he passed at 82, so he was pushed out still at what, he was 67, 68. Yeah. So I mean, that's still an age where he could have kept doing it, but they did push him out. And then, one of the all-time great guys, Clark Kellogg, stepped into that seat and crushed it, and now he's really instrumental in the halftime stuff and the pregame stuff that they do. But it's now Raftery and Grant Hill and Nance, and this is Nance's last one.
That's
this
right.
This year is Nance's last one. He's done after this year. But it made me think about what that sport was, and I am a little fearful that college football could follow a similar path with where things are going right now in college football.
They just got to keep the kids there.
That's it. And I was always surprised that that's a big part of it. But I mean, there's going to be a lot of transient nature in college football coming with the free transfer and all of that. But I was always surprised that the NBA didn't look at what the NFL did and copy it and do the 3-and-out thing. I know that the players didn't want it because, you want to get on that first contract and make that money as fast as you can to prolong the career, and you don't want to work for free, which is, what college is. But holy cow, from the standpoint of the league, the NFL holding firm on 3 years is one of the most important decisions this league ever made.
Yep.
You think about when we drafted Johnny or Baker, like they were stars upon drafting. You don't have to grow them into stars. They already were.
Yep.
It's a big part of the success of this league is that you're drafting known commodities. So it's amazing what's happened to that sport. But he was, for me as a kid, he was one of the voices that were synonymous with something that meant the most. 82. All right, coming up next, we'll hit some over-unders. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. There's a new way to cheer on your Cleveland Browns. The help of your favorite four-legged companion, Barking Backers, presented by Milk Bones, the Browns' newest club for pet parents worldwide. Sign up today, barkingbackers.com. Barking Backers, the fan club for dogs. Time for a little over-under game, gentlemen, as we head into championship weekend. I think it is safe to say we've crowned a champion here.
That brings me great joy to hear you say that.
It's not close. It's not locked, but it would be difficult at this point.
Where are we?
Last week, the Hoff finally got off the schneid after like a 1-14 stretch. Hoff went 3-2. His overall record is 46-49.
Oof,
not great for the Hoff. Gibbe, a little bit of a down week for Gibbe. Gibbe went 1-4 for an overall record of 48-47.
And
Zagura 2-3 last week, but an overall of 52-43. So a 4-game lead over Gibbe heading into the last
and
8
I got to keep
stanzas.
trying hard because I only have a 2-game lead on Hoff.
It's just a matter of, I always had, in fact, you remember there was a clothing maker called No Fear?
Yeah.
There was a shirt that I had that said second place is the first loser.
That's right.
So forget the Hoff, Gibbe. It doesn't matter if you're second or third. If you ain't first, you're
because
last.
This allows me to go put Post-it notes on his Hall of Fame bust down in Canton.
You bet you'd Gibbe in there. You get arrested. Hey, did you guys see the USFL is going to play games in Canton?
Yes.
The Pittsburgh team and the Jersey team are playing in Canton. Which, yeah, the USFL, they're going 4 markets, like Birmingham, Memphis, Canton, and Detroit.
Yeah.
2 teams in each. And the Canton location, like, why wouldn't you just make them an Ohio team? So Pittsburgh and New Jersey are playing out of Canton.
Is it just
Why
one
not just
game?
call
Is
them
it a couple games?
No, the whole season.
Oh, really?
Is playing out of Canton.
So then they're not Pittsburgh.
No, they're not Pittsburgh.
They're
They should be-
Canton.
They're Canton or the Ohio or whatever. Like,
oh boy,
just call them the Ohio Maulers or whatever. Like, why would
The
you?
Midwest Maulers.
Done, sold. You've just done it.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, you ready for
All right,
championship?
so hold on. Just I want to
Okay.
check out one thing. Be clear on one thing.
So we have 10. We have 10 of these left.
10 left, and Zagura has a 4-game
You went
lead.
500 for the.
We're not there yet.
We're not.
So scores
there.
are
I'm
next
just
segment.
thinking. I want to be prepared. I'm just the
Yeah.
week before and
Yeah.
then this week.
Yes,
Okay.
even
so you're
Steven.
yeah, and I'm 1 up.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing your pre-show homework.
2 up.
Good job.
All right. All right, here we go.
3-1.
Time for over-under. Next.
Over or under?
Zagura, we start with you.
Yep.
Passing yardage. We're looking for passing yardage. Patrick Mahomes plus Brock Purdy.
I knew that's what you were doing.
Over or under Burrow and Hurts? Mahomes and Purdy, Burrow and Hurts.
Give me Burrow and Hurts.
Under. Give it?
Damn you. Burrow and Hurts.
You got to go over.
Let the man do
I
whatever
still
he
have
wants.
time. I still have time.
Let him do whatever
right.
he wants.
Next.
Over or under?
By the way, I do think, and we'll get to this in scores, I do feel like there's only one way for Kansas City, and that's Mahomes to go nuclear. That's not necessarily true in Cincinnati. Like, they could do it a couple
Yeah, they
of
could.
ways.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. We're looking for total yardage, Gibbe. Christian McCaffrey plus Deebo Samuel. Over under the Philly trio of Sanders, Goddard, and Brown.
I'm taking Philly just because Homer Boy is going to take the 49ers.
Under.
I'm going to go same.
Same.
Of course you are.
Three for two.
It's
for two.
3 people.
3 for 2. 3 for 2.
And it feels likely to me that. Yeah, that feels pretty good to me. I like
All right. Next.
Over or under?
Zagura, receiving yardage, Travis Kelce, Jamar Chase.
Just straight up.
Straight receiving yardage. Straight up.
Kelce.
Over on Kelce. Gibbe?
I'll go Chase on this one.
Under. Next.
Over or under?
Sacks, interceptions, and fumbles.
Great.
A lot of you went all
Chalk
missed
this
it.
up as an L.
Yep. AFC, over or under NFC? AFC versus NFC.
I'm going to take the NFC.
Same.
Under.
God. That's what I would have.
First opportunity, you should. The first one is the one you would.
I would have done it anyway.
Yep. Next.
Over or under.
NFC points over under AFC. Total points scored.
AFC.
Under.
He knows he agrees with me.
Chiefs, Bengals,
doesn't matter.
Eagles,
I'm
Niners.
trying to justify it in my head that I can go a different
Eagles and
direction. I
Niners
don't want to do that.
The Eagles and Niners could easily play a game at 38.
No, they could not.
38-31.
No way.
Yes, they could.
No way.
They could.
Take the AFC.
Right. Under as well.
God.
Just one different between you.
That's
all right,
fine, because then that gives me enough wiggle room.
You'd have to the
go all
one
in
difference
next week.
this week you have to get, and then you got to sweep him next week. Or in 2 weeks in the Super Bowl.
Jamar Chase.
All right, very good.
If Kelsey wins that, it's good night, Irene.
That's it.
No,
All right,
you're up 5.
Time
I can
for
still
your.
tie you.
I would choose the same because I understand strategy, which you failed to last year. I would just choose the same as you on your two that you go first,
and then you're set.
And then I'm set.
Yep. Time for your scores on the championship weekend coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Time for a championship weekend edition Off the scores.
All right, so obviously I wasn't on the scores last week. So in the divisional round,
aware that you weren't on.
In the divisional, in the wild card round, we both went 3-3.
Yeah.
Last week you went 2-2. I went 3-1 with my lone loss being the crud G-men. So we sit at a combined 90 games over 500.
Still bitter about that Jacksonville.
Well,
I know that helped.
That would be the difference.
That was the difference, yeah.
Between you being 46 over
right.
and me being 44, or vice versa.
Or vice versa, or inverted.
So here we are.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a reason we get these hoodies. Stunning accomplishments year after year. Why not? We should be in them.
An incredible record of gamesmanship out of us.
That's right. You're welcome. And it's because we love the people.
We love the people.
Without the people, there's no us. We love you guys.
Of course not.
We love you. All right.
To Championship Sunday we go. 3 o'clock kick. The game is on Fox.
Oh, baby. I'm excited.
It is the San Francisco 49ers visiting the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles hate everybody, including their own parents. The Eagles taking on San Fran. Zagora, lead us off.
Nerd. Saw you made some smoked pork tenderloin last night. How was it?
Delicious, Dad. It was really, really good.
It was real good.
You need to order monkey butt immediately and smoke it.
Okay, Dad. I will. He sent me like 5 things on how to order some monkey butt, which is the picana or whatever, that cut of meat that's what they call it, monkey butt.
Okay.
And he's adamant about it. He sent
He's
me like
big for it.
80 articles
just
about
big fan.
it. Yeah, gotta get it.
Gotta get it. Yeah.
So with that in mind,
we're going to smoke their monkey butts.
Niners.
Huge.
I'll preface this by saying I could sit here right now and make an argument for either team winning either game.
Yep.
So take the points, brother.
Truly, I think these could be great. I think all these teams are great.
I hope they're great.
I've been on the Niners train for a while. I've been a non-believer of the Eagles for a while.
Yeah.
They've made a believer. I got the gangster. I got the Niners.
Yes.
I got the Niners by a field goal, 30-27.
By the way, how about Sal Pal yesterday? 2 things. One, the 35-2 blew his mind.
Stop the questioning.
Already sent me a text thanking me for that. He's using that.
Yeah. Well, you should
probably.
thank me.
I think he's going to credit us.
Yes. And then the one was, that's a great question. I forget what that one was.
Then
I really like that.
I watched it on the stream from home as.
And then you used my thing all week about the one true genius, and he had none of it.
None of it. Hated it. Went over like you calling somebody AB.
That's true.
Oh,
there's only one AB in the AFC North. Oh,
well, actually,
so that's
what
we're calling him now?
Such an odd thing to say for someone who's employed.
And considering
where you're employed.
That guy you're referencing is a Raider at this moment.
In the division.
Not in the division.
If you know, you know, kids. If you know, you know. So was that on a stream or was it even on this show?
It was on a
schedule
special.
release.
It was a Browns Live special.
Browns Live special.
Yes.
Oh, so it's in my DVR. I knew I still had it.
Yeah, you do. You know that.
6:30 p.m. kickoff on CBS. It is the AFC title game. The Bengals, who will be without Jonah Williams and Alex Kappa, the Bengals confirmed earlier today, visiting the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick One-Legged Mahomes. Bishop, lead us off.
So I've been on. No, I think he's full go. I've been on the Bengals for a long time. I've had him higher. I almost threw Poisel out of the building for having the Dolphins better than them at one point.
Would have been justified.
Jeez.
To be fair.
Yeesh. I can't quit him now, but I will acknowledge that in the deepest recesses of my brain, I think to myself, really? Mahomes is going to lose 4 in a row to Cincinnati. They're really going to lose again at Arrowhead? Honestly? Bengals. I think it's a dandy. 35-34.
Zagora?
It's just like being talked about like it's a foregone conclusion.
It is. I know it.
And I don't believe that it is a foregone conclusion. The Chiefs get it done at home. Mahomes is the best player in the league. He's going to prove it in a big moment. If this game were being talked about like the Chiefs were supposed to win, they're the favorite, they're the best team. Yeah, the Bengals have had their number, but their luck's going to run out. If it was being presented that way to me,
2 minutes.
I would be like, okay, Bengals, fine. I think it's going to be a great game. I would like the Chiefs to wear all red. I would like the Bengals to wear all white. I think that'd be stunning. A stunning look at
You
Arrowhead.
love the monochrome.
I love that white helmet, though. I think that white helmet is just.
Yeah,
it's.
I do like the orange popping
extraordinary.
against the white. I like the juxtaposition of it. But
all right. Anyway,
you got Kansas City. Mahomes. Yeah.
To Kelsey late, down 4. Dagger. Back to the Super Bowl go the Chiefs.
Run it back.
They win they win every other year.
As we're making all of this though, Gibby, and you probably can acknowledge this as well. I bet each one of us, if we were doing this, could have formulated an argument the other way.
Of course.
And it would have been just as convincing. They are the 4 teams are so evenly matched with each other. The 2 teams matched with each other appropriately. There's no, I mean, my God, it's plus 2.5 and plus 1.
You can't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows
There's
what's going to
no
happen.
way,
These games
man.
could go either way.
No, they could, and they both could be great. I don't see any scenario where either one of these is a bad game.
I hope not. I could. Well, in the NFC, I could see if somebody goes, or Niners. I think if somebody goes up like 17-0 at some point, or up 17 in the third quarter, it could get.
Well, you better hope it's the Niners, because I don't. Can the Niners play from behind?
Well, I don't know that the Eagles can
either,
as well
though.
in a straight drop back scenario.
I don't know.
They're probably a little better equipped, but
the
I don't
AFC
know.
both could chase if they needed to, and I think the Chiefs'
Yes.
defense is one you could definitely chase on, maybe even more so than the Bengals. I think it's great. Enjoy it, kids. Enjoy it.
Oh man, can't wait.
The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. We're back to break it all down in the creams.
The crap.
You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.